You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So here's the rundown for today's show. Later on, we'll talk about what constitutes a triumphant season for the Yankees. We'll discuss some roster moves that were made after the Yankees and Mets game in Port St. Lucie. Gerrit Cole is number one in a list from Bleacher Report walk-off. But first, we're talking about those Yankees and Mets. The Yankees played the Mets in Port St. Lucie this afternoon. It was basically the C-plus team that was there. Not too many regulars were there. So they lost 5-4. It's fine. Again, spring training. But there were some key performances, some guys to look out for. Tanner Tully, he pitched 2 innings, gave up a hit, which was a double by Pete Alonso. He walked 1, struck out 3. The interesting thing was he rebounded nicely from that double by Alonso and didn't allow Alonso to come around and score on that double. So I thought that was pretty good. Tully in 2023 was 5-5 with a 5.64 ERA in 19 games with Scranton. He will definitely start again with Scranton when everyone is assigned to their places. Anthony Volpe played in the game. He was 0 for 2, but he walked twice, and he stole a base after one of those walks. He also made a couple of really nifty plays in the field. One on his own, one was a double play turned with Oswald Peraza, who was playing second. Jeter Downs hit an RBI double. Clay Holmes pitched an inning and he struck out 1, and that nifty Volpe play happened in that inning while Holmes was on the mound, and also while Volpe was on ESPN. It was an ESPN game. They made a big deal out of it, and the main guys were there. So it was Eduardo Perez, it was David Cone, it was Carl Ravitch, it was Buster Olney. They had Pete Alonso and Harrison Bader mic'd up at one point. They talked to Matt Blake. They talked to Aaron Boone. They had Brian Cashman in the booth. We will be talking about some of the stuff that Cashman said later on in this segment. And when they were talking to Volpe, he ended up making a couple of good plays, but the last play that he made was really funny because David Cone had asked him a question and he was in the midst of answering it, and then the ball was hit directly to him and he got the third out, and then he said, "Talk to you later, Coney," as he was running off the field. And it was actually a very amusing moment, and the Yankees put it up on, I believe, Twitter and Instagram. And I laughed when it happened. I watched it live, and I thought it was hilarious. And the guys in the booth thought it was hilarious. It's not that easy playing the field while you're talking to someone with a mic in your ear. He was also adjusting the mic. But he was talking about the glove that he has the Gold Glove patch on it. And I think it was Eduardo Perez who joked with Volpe and said, "It looks like that glove hasn't really been broken in." And Volpe's like, "No, it hasn't actually really been broken in. It's being broken in today." And but he looked good in the field. And, like I said, 0 for 2, but he walked twice and he stole that base. And that's what you want. Walk, steal a base, get on base however you can. So how I mentioned those fringe guys that you should watch out for during spring training who are trying to make the team, trying to win a spot in the bullpen, trying to, maybe win a spot on the bench. Yerry De Los Santos is one of those guys, and he had a rough outing. 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. Ben Rortvedt lost a ball behind the plate, like literally, and 2 runs scored on the plate. De Los Santos also had 1 walk and 1 strikeout. And Boone was talking about him being one of those guys fighting for a spot on the team. And I believe Cashman also brought him up as well. Oswald Peraza was 0 for 2, but he got hit by a pitch, and it was pretty scary. It was up by his face. And, they checked on him, made sure he was okay. And he was fine because he ended up stealing a base right after that. So he was okay. And Spencer Jones was a late in the game sub, and he hit a double when Brian Cashman was in the booth talking about him. And we're going to talk about Jones and how he did in this spring in segment 2. We're not going to get too in-depth into it right now, but so far I like what I see from the kid, but he's not going to start. I know some people were a little upset because of something that happened we'll talk about in segment 2, but he's not ready for the majors, guys. He's not even ready for AAA yet. He's going to go to AA. That's what Brian Cashman said. And speaking of Brian Cashman, he was in the booth for a while and said some things, some interesting things, and some things I don't think I knew. But he said in this day and age, when other GMs will send him offers, they text each other now. Text and emails, but mostly text. So they're probably, could you imagine that email or text chain, that group text of GMs for Major League Baseball yapping back and forth? He said he likes to send emojis to his fellow GMs if he doesn't like trade proposals. He's been known to use the poop emoji to voice his displeasure and the vomit emoji to voice his displeasure at trade proposals. Brian Cashman, just like us, he mentioned that the Yankees were talking to the Padres at the trade deadline last season and were interested in Soto, but the Padres decided to go for it and not trade him. But he said they were always in contact and it was something he really wanted to do. He knew it would cost a lot, but he thinks Soto is worth it for this season. He talked about the players that they lost, talked about how he thought certain guys were going to be really good. Drew Thorpe. He said it was rough giving up those guys, but you have to give up players like that to get a player like Juan Soto. And an interesting thing, he skirted a question from the ESPN booth about a possible free agent window. You know how other sports have smaller windows for free agency, and it's kind of like a frenzy, and it makes things really exciting. Obviously, baseball doesn't have that. As I'm recording this at 8:46 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, March 5th, Blake Snell has not been signed. Jordan Montgomery has not been signed. And if there were some sort of free agent window, they would have been signed already. So he didn't really answer that question. And toward the end of the game, Carl Ravage posed that question to David Cohn. And he even mentioned, he said, Cashman kind of didn't want to answer that question, but what do you think? And David Cohn thinks there should be a free agent window, as long as it's not too short, because I think Ravage joked about a 10-day window. I think that's how short it is in soccer, but I could be mistaken on that. I have to look that up. But there is like a small transfer period, right, in soccer, and it's really quick. So Cohn thinks that as long as the window is longer, maybe 6 weeks for free agents to get deals, he thinks it's probably about time for baseball to do that sort of thing. And I thought that was interesting. So yeah, the Yankees lost 5-4 to the Mets. Not a big deal. Again, it was the C-plus team. The only guys really to look out for who will have an impact on 2024, at least right away. Clay Holmes was fine, did well. Volpe also. Peraza, you can make a case for Peraza possibly making the team, maybe being a bench player. He was playing second base. And as I said, him and Volpe turned a very nifty double play. And I've said it on the show before, if the Yankees don't extend Glaber, if they don't sign him in free agent, I would not mind seeing Volpe and Peraza up the middle together. So, and one more thing I wanted to mention. I think it was announced on Monday that the Mets are going to have a dance team to perform during games along the lines of teams in Asia, like Japan, and I believe Korea, they do this as well, where they have the dance teams on the dugouts to hype up the fans. And I think it's perfectly fine. A lot of people seem to be up in arms about this, but I think more teams should do that. They're not, as far as I know, they're not going to be doing it during the innings. I think they're going to do it between innings, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's fun, and I think more teams should do it. Let me know down below what you think about that. Because baseball needs to be more fun. Baseball around the world is so much more fun than it is in America, and this is where it started. It needs to be fun here. Now, don't forget, Reply to the pinned comment below on our videos Monday through Thursday if you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. We're still doing Fan Mail Friday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get texts from me, and you can text me questions. There's a 14-day free trial, and if you text me a Fan Mail Friday question via the Insiders Club, you get priority. Coming up next, some roster moves and Gerrit Cole, number one ace in baseball. PrizePicks is North America's largest daily fantasy sports platform. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Now, there's a fun new feature on the app called Demons and Goblins. Demon picks are in red. They're the scary picks that you can win really big money on, as in 100 times your money. So if you bet $10, you can win $1,000. But if you're more cautious, you can pick a goblin pick marked green because it's designed to keep you in the green and allow you to land consistent victories. The payout is less than a demon pick, but your chances of keeping your winning streak going are higher. If you're into the NBA, you could pick more than or less than on everything from three-pointers made to turnovers committed. And for spring training baseball, you can pick more than or less than on pitcher strikeouts and first inning runs. So download the app today and enter code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, all in lowercase letters, and get that first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back. After you're done here at Locked On Yankees, make sure to watch Locked On Sports Today. It's the Locked On Network's 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and you can put it on whenever you want and watch other Locked On podcasts while you work, while you clean up around the house, while you're on a treadmill. That's Locked On Sports Today, streaming 24/7 on YouTube. After the game ended, some moves were made because we're at that point in spring training where guys are going to be sent to minor league camp, and those guys are Spencer Jones and Caleb Durbin, both outfielders. You know all about Spencer Jones. He's the Yankees' best prospect, along with Jeter Downs and Brandon Lockridge, who were sent to minor league camp. It's not surprising that any of those guys got sent to minor league camp. I know some people were upset about Spencer Jones being sent to minor league camp, but he's not ready, guys. He's not ready for the majors yet. Although, if you look at his spring numbers, it seems like he is, but he's not. He's not. He's too, you have to keep him in the incubator, so to speak. He's only at AA. He hasn't even made it to AAA yet. And, you know, there are adjustments when you get to each level. And I know you're thinking in your head, but what about Jason Dominguez? It's an outlier. That's all it is. So Jones's batting line, 467, 556, 1289. He scored 6 runs, got 7 hits, hit that 1 home run, that 470-foot bomb, 4 runs batted in, over 15 at-bats. And according to Gary Phillips, beat writer, Jones also didn't swing and miss once, which I know, small sample size because it's only 15 at-bats, but he did strike out 150 times last season. So it's a big deal that he did not swing and miss once. So Cashman said Jones would start the year in AA Somerset, not shocking. Lockridge was in the game on Tuesday. He pinch ran and was promptly picked off at first base, like literally. He went into the game and was nailed at first base within seconds. It was actually pretty funny. And the guys on ESPN were kind of laughing about it because it was amusing. And Durbin pinch hit for Oscar Gonzalez on Tuesday and walked in the first at bat. So those were the roster moves, not as many as the other day, but we're going to see them more and more as we get closer to opening day and closer to the exhibition games in Mexico City when the team goes there. And as I said in the open, Gerrit Cole makes Bleacher Report walk-offs list of top 10 Major League Baseball aces. Cole is number 1. Zach Wheeler of the Phillies, 2. Spencer Strider of the Braves, 3. Corbin Burns, Baltimore, 4. Zach Gallen, Diamondbacks, 5. Kevin Gausman, Toronto. Logan Webb, San Francisco. Justin Steele, Chicago Cubs. Pablo Lopez of the Twins. And rounding out the list at number 10, Luis Castillo of the Mariners. Those are all very good pitchers. Now, if you recall, last opening day, Cole and Logan Webb faced off. Cole got the win, but Webb struck out, 12 or 13 Yankees that day? I think it was 12. Corbin Burns is going to boost the Orioles in a big way and make things really interesting in the AL East. Gausman also, he's been solid for a while now, and he's a big threat in the AL East for the Blue Jays as well. He had a large number of strikeouts in 2023, and it should be fun to see guys like that, like especially seeing Corbin Burns come over to the AL East. And speaking of the AL East, it was revealed today that Lucas Giolito, who just went to the Red Sox, just signed a 2-year deal with them. I believe it was $38.5 million. Partially torn UCL, might miss all of 2024. Not a good thing for him, not a good thing for the Red Sox. But the thing that struck me about this, I believe the news came out around 11:30 in the morning on Tuesday. And some people were saying that it's clear the Red Sox are not really trying to do much in 2024, because if that were the case, they would have called someone. There are 2 big pitchers out there who still have not signed any sort of deal, named Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. And the Red Sox actually spoke with Jordan Montgomery. They had a Zoom meeting, I believe, before spring training started. So right now, as of 8:59 p.m. on March 5th, but let me double check this because this has happened to us in the past where we say things like, oh, this person isn't signed yet, and then it happens. So let me just double check, because I know that Blake Snell has been linked to the Giants, and that is still a possibility. And like I said, Jordan Montgomery talked with the Red Sox, but nothing really happened. Yeah, nothing with Blake Snell. Also, my phone auto-corrected it to Blake Smell. I'm so sorry, Blake. I don't know why it did that. I've never called you Blake Smell. And then Jordan Montgomery. Nothing doing with him either. So yeah. Also, more pitching news. In case you didn't know, the Yankees are facing the Astros in Houston to open the season because the baseball gods have blessed us. That is sarcasm. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing my sarcastic face. Justin Verlander will not be pitching for the opening series. He's not going to be ready for the opening series. He's going to start the season on the IL. Is that a good thing for the Yankees? Possibly. It's weird. The Yankees have a weird, not relationship with Jordan Montgomery, Justin Verlander. Sometimes they hit him. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes he looks really terrible against them, and other times he just mows them down. So, I mean, no offense. I hope he feels okay, but I'm actually glad we're not seeing him for opening day or the opening series. And no, I am not going to Houston. Someone actually asked me that in the comments, I believe. And someone also asked me that on Twitter, but no, never. I would never go to Houston to see a game. I'm sure Minute Maid Park is nice. My brother went there actually one year, but I have no desire to sit there. Maybe for a game that's not Yankees Astros, maybe, Rangers Astros would be fun because those games are probably intense, but definitely not a Yankee Astros game. So coming up next, this is interesting. I consulted ChatGPT to find out what it would describe a successful Yankee season to be. That's coming up next. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back. So, if you don't know this about me, I write a lot of fiction that no one is ever going to read, but I write a lot of stories, and I'm usually good with coming up with character names, but I recently downloaded ChatGPT. I know I'm like years behind everyone else, and have asked it to come up with character names for me. Character names, names of businesses, and it's actually really interesting how it comes up with things. But I asked ChatGPT to describe a successful Yankees season. And this is what it said. And I thought this was interesting because this actually, you'll see. A successful New York Yankees season typically involves strong performances from key players, effective pitching, and strategic management. Success is often measured by making the playoffs, contending for the division title, and ultimately competing for the World Series championship. Consistency, teamwork, and impactful contributions from both veteran and younger players are crucial elements for a triumphant season. When was the last time the Yankees had a triumphant season described like that? I would say 2017. Especially the consistency, the teamwork, and the impactful contributions from both veteran and younger players. Veteran players being guys like Stacey, even Didi Gregorius, Brett Gardner, and then you had the young guys, Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge. There was like a nice mix of people on that 2017 team, and I know they didn't make the World Series, but they made it to the 7th game of the ALCS, which is farther than any of the teams before them and after them. Post 2009, which is the last time the Yankees were triumphant, as we all know. And also, that formula describes 2009. Think of the 2009 team. You had Jorge Posada, you had Andy Pettitte, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Mariano Rivera. You know, even at that point, CC was a veteran. Then you had the young guys like David Robertson, Jabba Chamberlain, even Phil Hughes. Brett Gardner was young then, right? He was only in his second full season, or his first full season, because he was called up in June of 2008. And it was the same kind of formula. So I found that interesting. And does it feel like the Yankees have that same combo now? Because it feels like it to me. I feel like I said this on the show either yesterday or the day before. I have a good feeling about this team. I really do. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about health, obviously, but I like the makeup of this team. I like what Cashman was able to do with this team. I like the moves that they were able to make after losing out on Yamamoto, who they weren't even going to get. He did not want to come here. I'm going to say that every time someone brings him up. He did not want to come here. He obviously didn't want to go anywhere but LA because Philly apparently offered him the most money and he didn't even bother with them. I have a really good feeling about this team. I like the mix of old and new. I like what they did with the bullpen. If the rotation stays healthy, are they the number one rotation in baseball? No, but that top three, if they're all performing well, Cole, Rodon, Stroman, that's a strong top three. So could this be a successful season for the New York Yankees? It's very well possible. It's very possible. because they do have that mix of veteran guys and younger players. And it's kind of funny, though, because Juan Soto is a veteran and still young. So is Gleyber Torres, come to think of it. You know, there are a few guys on the team who are veterans already, who are still relatively young, under 30, you know, so they're a combo of the two. But I really like the makeup of this team. I feel like people aren't giving them enough credit. I like the vibes. They're having a lot of fun. If you guys didn't see the behind the scenes video of Gleyber mic'd up the other day, one of the best ones they've ever done, even better than Tommy Kahnle going nuts on camera. Gleyber is very funny. Him and the guys have a great rapport. You can tell that they're very close and they really genuinely care about each other. And it just feels like that kind of team this year. I really hope I didn't just jinx them, but I really feel like this could be a special team. Let me know down below if you're feeling the same way. I am cautiously optimistic, but I am feeling positive about these guys. I'll leave it there. So before I sign off, remember, Locked On Insiders Club, link in the description. If you join and you text me and you ask questions for Fan Mail Friday, you are in. You get priority. It's a 14-day free trial. Try it out. I text you. You text me. You know, we don't have to talk back and forth all the time, but if you have questions for me, I will answer them for you. And yes, we're doing Fan Mail Friday. It's coming up on Friday. I might not have the graphics up like Steve did because I'm still trying to figure out how to do that, but it'll be a Fan Mail Friday. And I've already gotten some questions, so leave some more. We'll make the whole show Fan Mail Friday. It'll be fun. So thank you for watching today. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and I will see you tomorrow.